From unknown parts of metropolitan New York City, I am the hip and this is Lee.
Yes, hello, good evening, or good morning, good afternoon, whenever you might be listening. Yes, this is Hip and the Lip, a sports podcast. I'm sure you know that already. If you are a listener, you're probably thinking, what the hell are you talking about? We know that. Yes, indeed. So much going on after a very eventful week since we were last on. So much to discuss, so much to digest, so much to get out there. And we'll do it all in 15 minutes or less, or your pizza's free, indeed.
As always, our episodes go only 15 minutes. If you check the history of our last 10 episodes, yes. Look, we got NBA Finals, NHL, Stanley Cup playoffs. Okay, fine. We got some baseballs with the Mets and the Yankees, but I'm going to get this out there right now because it's fresh.
Ooh.
It just happened. It's only happened 17 times ever, and that is a four-home run game. Scooter Gannett, congratulations.
What? Who? Wait a minute. I think I know the name, but who?
Scooter Gannett, everybody, who went over. He went 0 for his last 19 on the season. He had 3 home runs in his first 112 at bats, 4 home runs tonight, 5 for 5, 10 RBIs. Now, put this into perspective. There's only been 14 times in Major League history had 10 RBIs in a game. So not only did he achieve something that happened only 17 times with the 4 home runs, but the 10 RBIs only 14 times. This may be the single best offensive game in Major League Baseball history. Scooter Gannett.
What? And I am embarrassed to say, what team does he play for? I
doesn't know what team Scooter Gannett plays for.
I know the name. I do know what position is he? I actually don't know what position he is either.
Lilith doesn't know what position Scooter Gannett plays.
Scooter, 4 home. Oh my! It's like Rendon almost. Well, Rendon only hit 3, right? But he had 10 RBIs.
He only had 3. He had the 10 RBIs, but and so when Rendon did the 10 RBIs only 13 times. But you think about how many no hitters there are in Major League Baseball history. Everybody makes a big deal about no hitters, right?
Nah, well, those are so commonplace.
So many more no hitters than 4 home run games. So look, it's the like most unlikely. Game. It's probably the most unlikely 4 home run performance ever by anyone in Major League Baseball history. I think it started.
Bob Horner did it back in the day, so that's
he played. Scooter Gannett started in the outfield, I believe. He used to be with the Brewers. He was kind of a second baseman that had a young second baseman for the Brewers who had promise. I don't know if he was traded or cut. You know, clearly not off to the most exciting of starts this year, and probably won't do much more beyond this. So it's just like the most flukiest ever see for an offensive performance
didn't Mark
in the game.
Mark Whitten, didn't he do that back?
Mark Whitten had 4 homers and he had 12 RBIs. Ooh. So you could argue that his performance was better. However, I don't think he had a 5th hit. Scooter Gannett had 5 hits.
Well, he has to get one more to match Rendon, and then he surpasses Rendon.
The game's over, so that's not happening.
That's a shame. So what team does he play for? I'm still not sure.
The Cincinnati Reds started in left field tonight.
Oh, playing in that band. Well, did he do it at home? Was it in Cincinnati?
He did do it at home. I didn't see each of the home runs.
I could probably hit 2 home runs in a game in that place. I mean,
and meanwhile, the Mets are down 10-4 in the bottom of the 6th inning in Texas with their ace starting pitcher on the mound. Yeah, he's not on the mound anymore. We'll get to it. All right, so just wanted to throw in that little. We'll circle back with some more baseball. Plenty to get to there. But look, let's discuss the finals. That's what the majority of our fan base is probably, listener base is watching. That's what they care about.
Yes.
And yes, it's just been it's so many unexpected twists and turns in the NBA Finals so far. Oh my gosh! I mean, I've just been on the edge of my seat for 48. It's just been an unbelievable first 2 games.
So I mean,
I couldn't step away. Like I had to hurry up my bathroom breaks during the commercials to make sure I would finish. before the game would get back on.
Thank God for DVR. Oh my God, I forgot I had DVR for a moment there. I was like, oh my God, it's starting up again. Oh, that's right, I can pause it and rewind. Ooh, that was a close one.
So at the end of game 2, LeBron was asked if he needs to come back and defend his home court. Did you see that interview question?
I did not see that. Well, I thought was this before or after he the Golden State Warriors went in front of him for the press conference, so he excused himself. Hey, you know what? Well, he pulled like a Donald Trump, like if I have to wait for other people to go before me, I'm just gonna leave. I am LeBron James. I am the king. I shouldn't have to wait for anybody. I don't care that they won in the. Well, that's Donald Trump. That's not LeBron James. But so he actually did answer a question at the game too. I did not see it. No. He was asked about defending.
Basically, he said, "Well, if we don't, what happens?" Yeah, kind of put the reporter in his place. It's a good answer. It's a sharp, witty, put the reporter in his place. Yeah, stupid question. Yes, we kind of have to because we're down 2-0. Oh no, here we go again. Oh gosh, yeah, can't wait for them to be down 3-0 so that Adam Silver's expectation for this being an incredible finals is going to all pan out and everybody's happy. Oh, wait a second.
Well, what he should have said is, so if we lose, does that mean that we did not defend our home court, that we let them conquer our home court, and now what is it, Arco Arena? I forgot the name of the Cleveland Arena. Now this is the Golden State's arena. Now they're expanding, they're conquering, they're like Alexander the Great, they're expanding the breadth of their domain. Oh my God, we have to defend our home court. Oh my God, it's just, honestly, would anybody be shocked right now if I were to say that this is going to end in 4 games, or just that notion of it ending in 4 games? I mean, my God, and it's what's absolutely incredible is that all of the comparisons now to the NHL Stanley Cup Finals, and we'll get to that, of course, and Charles Barkley appearing on NBC, which I thought was absolutely hysterical. We'll get to that also, but the longly waited, anticipated matchup between the two powerhouse teams after what happened last year and the year before. Part 3, the trilogy, the concluding chapter. Yeah, this is turning out to be like Godfather Part 3 of this trilogy, or Scream 3, or this is definitely not. Well, Jedi, I guess, was okay. People would love for Jedi right now. Give us Jedi as the concluding chapter of this trilogy, but it is just absolutely unbelievable. Well, I can't say unbelievable. The bottom line is, and I said this last time, the Golden State Warriors took a 73-win team last year. 73 wins they had last year. They added Kevin Durant to that team. Is anybody surprised? Cleveland's the same team from last year. Darren Williams, oh yeah, a huge difference he's making. Channing Frye, I mean, this is the same Cleveland team against a great all-time team. Yeah, they lost to Cleveland, fine. They had Kevin Durant. Is anybody surprised? I mean, this has been a runaway freight train for Golden State since the beginning of the playoffs. It has not slowed down. Going through Cleveland, Cleveland has done nothing to slow them down. And again, this is not at all surprising. I was hoping for a 6 or 7 game series. We all were. That's what you hope for with any championship series. You want to see a competitive series that can go a long way and, give you some drama, give you some good play and something to be excited about. And I will say the Golden State play throughout the first 2 games was pretty to watch. I mean, they were dazzling at times. They just looked like they're just such a well-oiled machine, that team. But watching the first 2 games, I mean, you just see how physically limited Cleveland is outside of LeBron and Kevin Love, who I thought has played pretty well in the first 2 games. Kyrie Irving's had a miserable game 2. He was okay in game 1 at best, miserable game 2. All the other supporting characters have done nothing. Their transition defense in game 1 was a joke. There was, in the first half of game 1, there must have been 4 or 5 instances where Kevin Durant must have looked around and said, nobody's going to defend me? Okay, I'll just take this right to the hoop and throw it down. I mean,
defenders were running away from him on some plays.
Yes, they were. But what you heard was, they're defending the 3-point line. Oh, really? So we're going to make sure that we defend against a 40% shot and basically say, here, have a shot that there's a 99.9% chance you're going to hit. And hopefully maybe the back of the rim will play defense for us and we'll reject your attempted dunk. I mean, you're right. They were running away. I mean, it was pathetic. It was embarrassing. If I was a head coach, I would have called timeout and said, all right, all 5 of you out. Get off the floor. I mean, that's how embarrassing it was. And then in game 2, Cleveland, I thought, played a little bit better defensively, at least a little bit better. I mean, they showed a little more intensity, gave you a little more effort on defensive end. What's amazing, though, in that game 2 is that the Warriors committed 13 turnovers in the first half. 13! Yet they still scored 67 points. And you knew as soon as the half ended, the game was over because you knew Golden State was going to play much better in the second half. They would make adjustments, clean up what they did wrong in the first half. It was almost like they were toying with them at times. I mean, it is just remarkable. And LeBron can only do so much. He's one guy. You can replace him with any.
He needs to be a Jedi. He needs to be a Jedi for game 3.
Yes.
I mean, seriously, there's nothing short of it.
Yes, well, maybe with a little help from his friends, the Ewoks can step up a little bit. Guys like J.R. Smith or Iman Shumpert or Deron Williams or whoever the hell they're going to throw out there to try to at least hit a shot. I mean, in game 2, you take out LeBron and Kevin Love, the team shot 19 for 59. That's a good for a 32% clip in game 2 when you take out LeBron and Love. So, Kyrie Irving had a miserable game 2. Just a lot. And Chauncey Billups did a good job in the postgame kind of talking about Irving and his playing, kind of isolation basketball on the offensive end. And, if you're going to do that, fine. You better hit your shots, though. If you're not hitting your shots, then you can't do that nonsense. And I thought Chauncey Billups did a good job of breaking that down. And Kevin Durant, I mean, just absolutely, he really has established himself, I think, as the second best player in the game. You can't put him ahead of LeBron. I know Paul Pierce tried to do that, or was kind of, basically said that he's the best player in the game right now. And Chauncey Billups was like, "Oh, hold on there, Paul. Let's not go nuts." But Kevin Durant has been brilliant in the first 2 games of the series, the whole playoffs. I mean, it's just remarkable watching that team and just how they are really a well-oiled machine when they're going at full steam. And Cleveland, you can't run up and down the court with them. If you do, they're going to destroy it, which has happened the first 2 games. Like the advanced stats, I guess, say this is like the fastest paced, 2 of the fastest paced games that Cleveland has played all year. Like 2 in like number 1 and 2 or 2 and 3, something like that. And they have like their advanced metrics for basketball too. And if they're going to run up and down the court with Golden State, forget it. You can just basically wipe the series out in 5 games, if not 4. I do think that Cleveland will get a game at home. They're going to have a game where they'll be hitting their threes. They'll, maybe Golden State won't shoot as well from the outside. Klay Thompson, who had a terrible game 1, shot a lot better in game 2. And when you have him, Curry, and Durant all going, forget it. I mean, again, just forget it. Just go home, turn off the TV, put on something else. And really just a remarkable display of basketball that we've seen from Golden State. Can Cleveland get a game in this series? I think they will. I think they'll take it back to game 5. But if they don't win these next 2 games at home, I don't think there's any chance they're going to go into Golden State and win game 5. I don't think there's any, unless Draymond Green wants to help him out again and do something stupid. If he does and gets suspended or something like that happens, maybe. But if not, if it goes back 3-1 to Golden State, I think you can kiss it goodbye for the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yep. Fair enough.
I don't know if you have anything else to add or say, but I will say though, I mean, Golden State, it's just watching them, just when they're moving the ball and like the way that they've passed the ball and moved the ball in there, it's just unbelievable, amazing. It really is.
Is this like a top? Do you think they've taken a claim to be a top 5 offensive team of all time?
I don't think it's unfair to say that. I mean, and then you heard Jeff Van Gundy go, "Oh, well, the best duo of all time, Kevin Durant and Stephen Curry," and they were like, "Oh, come on, let's not go nuts here." Yes,
just overall offensive team though.
But you could definitely make the argument. Why not? I mean, I've been watching basketball, since the early '90s, so I can only go back so far. I didn't watch the Showtime Lakers. I didn't watch the Boston teams of the '80s, or obviously going back much farther.
Yeah, but I mean, we know you regularly watch them on the VCR tapes.
Well, that would be the old Chicago Bulls during the 90s, Knicks Bulls, 1992, Xavier McDaniel and Gerald Wilkins, of course, indeed. But look, this team is just so supremely talented. I mean, you can stack up this team, I think, really against any team over the last 25, 30 years. No question. I mean, you look at the championship teams we've seen. We saw Shaq and Kobe. We've seen the Spurs teams, but I mean, those Spurs teams were not exactly vaunted offensive tems as good as they were defensively. Obviously you have the Jordan Bulls, you have the Stockton Malone Jazz. I mean, you've had some obviously very, very good, great teams over the last 25 years, but you can absolutely stack this roster up against any one of those teams. No question.
All right. Well, at the very least, enjoy that aspect of it. Despite the lopsidedness of these first two games,
that's all you can do.
That's really all you're watching for. Yeah. You may not be on the edge of your seat for something competitive, but appreciate how just ridiculously good the team that's up 2-0 is, and we'll see how Game 3 plays out. Okay, that's tomorrow. Okay. Let's shift over to the Stanley Cup Finals, which is 4 games deep, and we are knotted up at 2 games now.
Yeah, a little
captured games 1 and 2. Right. Pittsburgh captured games 1 and 2, and Nashville comes roaring back with decisive victories at home. And you just watch the Nashville Predators play at home, and you just feel the ridiculous energy from that crowd with the chants and just the sound. I mean, it's incredible.
The city of Nashville has been the star of that series. What's amazing is that, I mean, look at the NBA. You have all those superstars. You have Curry and LeBron and Durant, all those guys. In the NHL Stanley Cup Finals, you do have arguably the 2 best players on the planet in Crosby and Malkin. Yet the star of the NHL Stanley Cup Finals so far has legitimately been the city of Nashville and the crowd and the celebrities and NBC. I can tell you this much. And I guess they drew their best rating for game 4 because that was on the big network. Games 2 and 3 were on NBC Sports. Game 4, though, I guess did the best rating in the last since 2013 when you had the 2 big markets, Chicago and Boston, in the finals. But I can tell you, NBC is lapping this up right now. They are just loving, just everything about Nashville and the city and all the fans and 50,000 people on Main Street and then the viewing areas and all that, and then the celebrities and Carrie Underwood. What's amazing is that NBC said to their studio, okay, here's what we're going to do between the first and second intermissions of Game 4. We're not going to analyze what we just watched. We're not going to break. They did later on, but for the first segment, they didn't analyze a thing what happened in the first 2 periods of play. There was no breakdown, nothing at all. It was, let's interview Carrie Underwood in the first period, and let's interview Charles Barkley, of all people, in the second period. And Barkley was there because he was invited by Gary Bettman. I guess Gary got wind of what Charles was saying about how the NHL playoffs have been so much better than the NBA playoffs. So he said, let's see if we can maybe capitalize on this a little bit. We'll bring him in, and we'll throw him on the intermission report, and we'll bypass all breaking down and analyzing what we saw the first 2 periods of Game 4.
Is anybody complaining?
No, I'm sure nobody is. I'm sure everybody was thrilled to hear.
It's genius. It's really smart. Take advantage.
Absolutely.
You don't need to spend a boring 20-minute intermission breaking down every goal. I mean, you could sufficiently break down the goals while the period is in play. You don't really need that much more analysis during the intermission. I mean, you can get it in there, but why just bring out the familiar faces and the upbeat personalities. That turned into not just a game, but
it was a show. Yeah, it was a performance piece. Absolutely. And like I said, NBC is loving this right now. I mean, this could not have worked out any better. You still have your star power with Crosby and Malkin and Pittsburgh, the defending champs. You combine that with the story of Nashville and, the upstart Nashville Predators, the non-traditional hockey market. They were, almost left Nashville 10 years ago to go to Hamilton, Ontario. And I mean, you combine all those storylines and this, just the way Nashville has responded to the Predators advancing this far and how crazy that city is and how insane that city is and, how loud the building is and their creative chants and yelling at the goalie, it's all your fault. I will say that's an original one. I've never heard the sing-song chant of the goalie's first or last name. I mean, that's kind of getting a little old, but when you at least supplement it with it's all your fault, it's kind of cool. So, but I mean, really the star of this final has been the city and the fan base of the Nashville Predators. So let's see if Pittsburgh's fan base can at least attempt to match Nashville's and boost their team, because their team very much needs a boost right now.
Talking about a team that was the second seed. They were the second in the division, the Metropolitan Division, just short of the Capitals. Two top flight NHL players. Meanwhile, the Nashville Predators were the 16th best team in the league this year, and it's just an incredible. It's just an incredible story, and it's just a lot of fun to watch. And,
it really is.
It's just. You kind of jumped on the Nashville bandwagon early on in the playoffs. You picked your hipster team and
authentic fan. That's right. The Golden State Warriors and their authentic fan signs to prove that they're not bandwagoners. Well, I jumped on the bandwagon right at the beginning. I didn't wait till the final. So look at me. All
right, so let's get to our standard on this though, and a brief breakdown. We did talk about games 1 and 2, but 3 and 4. Did you feel like the trend continued with Nashville playing better hockey than Pittsburgh?
See, here's where this could be a turning point of the series. So Pittsburgh scored the first goal of Game 3 within the first, 3 minutes of the game, something like that. They had an opportunity there by scoring because everything you would have heard going into that game was, Nashville score the first goal, get the crowd into it, yada, yada. By scoring the first goal there, if they ramp up their pacing, if they get more aggressive and, just try and jump on Nashville early on after they score that first goal, who knows? Maybe they can get another one there, another 2 there or something, get a 2 or 3 goal lead. And then you can at least attempt to neutralize that crowd. And then maybe you finally, can get a 1-up on Nashville there. You saw Nashville got off to a little bit of an uneven start in Game 3, probably nervous, playing the first home game in front of that crowd in the final and all that. And if Pittsburgh would have been more aggressive after scoring that first goal, which they were not, then maybe that game would have turned out differently. Instead, Nashville kind of, got their footing a little bit towards the latter part of the period. And then in the second period, they really just elevated their game. Pittsburgh has had a hell of a time trying to deal with that Nashville forecheck, which has been all over that Pittsburgh defense. They are really missing Crystal Tang in this series. Oh my God, are they missing him right now? If he was playing in this series, this might be a different series. He is that good of a player. He is that important of a player for that team. They are missing him right now. They have other guys that I think are banged up. I think Hornquist is still banged up for Pittsburgh. He has not had any kind of impact on this series. Nick Bonino, the third-line center, has been out now the last couple of games. Who knows if he'll be back in this series at all. He got a walking boot apparently, but I tell you, though, in that Game 3, that crowd exploded when Gaudreau, try and name more than 2 or 3 Nashville forwards. We know about the defense. So you've heard all about their, stellar top 4 defensemen and their goalie, obviously. You try and name, more than 2 or 3 forwards if you're a casual fan. Frederick Gaudreau, who is this guy? Scores the second goal of the game after they tie it up in Game 3. The place explodes. And again, really, it was just they just took over the game from there. And Pittsburgh did push back a little bit in Game 3, but they really couldn't generate enough offensively to really have any chance to get back in the game. At least the way that Rene was playing, as he played a lot better in Game 3 after being a little shaky in the first 2 games. And then Game 4, they score the first goal, Nashville, and then Pittsburgh quickly scores to tie it up maybe a minute or 2 later. Crosby, who was absolutely brilliant in Game 4. Crosby was the best player on the ice, I thought, for either team in Game 4. That's how good he was. He was doing everything he could to try and will his team. He was setting up guys. Gensel had a couple golden opportunities, just didn't capitalize. He had an open net. Rene made a great save in the second period. I'm sure if you watch the game, you know what I'm talking about. He scored the only goal, Crosby, of the game for Pittsburgh. He was everywhere, tried to do anything he possibly could. Evgeny Malkin, where has he been? Really very little impact in either of the 2 games in Nashville. Phil Kessel, where has he been? They tried moving him around. You saw him, with Malkin. You saw him put onto the Matt Cullen line. He's can't get anything going at all. PK Subban has made life miserable for Malkin. He is not, and I don't know if I said this in the last episode, but I thought that they were going to try and match up Subban, not against Crosby, but against Malkin. I think that I think Laviolette has really done a great job of matching up his defensemen against Crosby and Malkin. And his third pairing, which has played okay. He obviously had the benefit of the last change in games 3 and 4. We'll see if he can hide his third pairing from the Crosby and Malkin units in game 5. But Nashville was again relentless with the forecheck. Their defense has played as well as they have all playoffs. They've been as good as advertised, and they really make up for a lack of dynamic offensive players. Although the third goal that they scored yesterday, Arvidsson scored on a breakaway. It was an absolutely brilliant. I mean, just a fantastic play. Started by James Neal, made a diving play to chip the puck out of the zone to Mike Fisher, who then dives to chip it ahead to Arvidsson, who just took off and scored a breakaway goal there, 3-1. And then the third period was a defensive clinic by Nashville. Pittsburgh could not really get anything going offensively. And again, that forecheck was relentless on Pittsburgh's D, which is really just hurting right now. So
game 5 is Thursday night.
Yes.
And game 6 is Sunday night. Both 8 o'clock starts, both NBC.
Yep.
And I'm going to be airborne for the entirety of game 6, which could be a Stanley Cup clinching game. I'm hoping. Oh man. I'm hoping that I can watch while I'm in the air, and I don't know if NBC has made it easy for what.
JetBlue.
It's American Airlines.
Do they have TVs? I don't know if they have the TVs.
I've been researching it while you were giving your in-depth analysis, and the world of multitasking. And only some of the I'm flying a 737. Only some of the planes have in-flight entertainment. There's Wi-Fi on the plane, so I'm just hoping I can. I don't know if I can stream it though, because but the problem is some of these planes they block the streaming because it takes up too much bandwidth. So I may not be able to watch the game. I may not be able to. It'd be a damn shame.
If they win Game 5, Nashville, and they have a chance to go back home to win the Cup, that place may and I think the Country Music Awards are this weekend too in Nashville. I mean, that city is going to be absolutely beyond bonkers and insane. I mean, it'll be regardless. I mean, they're going to be playing there. It'll be regardless. But if they can win, you and I
spent some very quality time there together, of course.
Yes, so
indeed. We only, I'm sure inspired the masses to descend upon the city for, subsequent activities like there are now. Had we not blessed the city with our approval, then I'm sure it would be quite as energetic and boisterous as it is now.
I'm sure. Hey, we gave Nashville our seal of approval. We came back.
Yes.
Yeah, in May of last year. It was right after. It was actually right. I think it was the Islander post-mortem episode, because they lost as we were coming to Tampa Bay last year as we were coming back from Nashville. So I think we gave our seal of approval for Nashville during the very dour and solemn Islander post-mortem last year. So,
well, if any of our listeners happen to be going to Nashville in the immediate future to watch some hockey, you got to do the what's it called, the bike tour.
Oh yeah. And just watch
that's what it was called.
Parties. Yeah, well, the bike something or other where you're drinking beer and riding the bike. That's all you're doing.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun, actually. I enjoyed that. I don't know if they're gonna be able to handle that, because it's gonna be so much traffic down there.
Yeah,
it's foot traffic, vehicle traffic. All right, well, game 5 is Thursday night. Game 6 Sunday night in the Stanley Cup Finals. If you could just tune in for even if you're not a hockey fan, tune into Game 6 regardless. Just even if you want to catch a period, just to get a sense of how over the top it is. The energy from that building.
It's like a college crowd. I mean, that's the best way. I mean, that they really, they stand up for a good portion of the game. I mean, you got to experience Michigan and being, in that giant stadium with 100,000 people. I mean, I never had really that true college sports experience. I mean, but it seems like that's as close to a college experience as you can get at a professional, at a professional sporting event. I mean, it's.
Well, a closed building, the sound's just more contained, obviously. So it's that you can be in that building and not be able to hear the person next to you at a normal voice, because it's just so loud from just the masses. It's not just the stadium in Dewsound. It's the natural, or the natural crowd feeding that volume. It's incredible.
Yeah, and it seems like it's an intimate setting also. I mean, like, it's not one of these new giant arenas where the acoustics are, I mean, it doesn't matter how loud the people are. It's like you can never really get the feel of that crowd noise. I mean, think about the old Coliseum. I mean, we were at the Coliseum for the Islanders and the Islander playoff games, and how loud that building got. I mean, if the Islanders ever made the Cup Finals in that building, I mean, we might have actually blown the roof off. At least I was not there for the 80s, which we will get to. We'll get to, we have to mention in just a moment or two. But you're right, Game 6, even if you're the most casual of fans, throw it on. It really is an experience. It's a show that they're putting on. It's not just a hockey game, it's a show. The celebrities, everything involved surrounding the event itself. You take it all in. It's fun watching. It's a great viewing experience. Even Mike Francesa watched it. Mike Francesa even watched a little bit of Game 4 yesterday. He came on and said, "You know what? I was told to watch it. I put it on." And of course he had to say this. "Oh, my good friends Doc and Eddie were on there. Good friends of mine." Yeah, thanks, Mike. Well,
best friends, I'm sure.
Yeah, best friends, I'm sure. BFFs. So even Mike Francesa watched a little bit yesterday. All right.
Right. Well, so before we move on, you wanted to get into another topic on hockey before we move on?
Really quickly, before we move on, did you see that the NHL released its centennial season, 100 years of the Stanley Cup, whatever. So they had their ranking. They're the 100 Stanley Cup winners rankings from 100 to 1. They just released their top 10, and the number 1 team was just announced yesterday or 2 days. I think it was yesterday. So I don't know if you got to see the list. If you got a chance to view the teams on the list. I haven't seen
the list. No.
All right. So the 1982-83 New York Islanders are the only team in the top 10. The only local team, I should say, in the top 10. They were number 7 or 8 or something, I believe. But there were 4 Edmonton teams on there. 4 of the 5 Edmonton Cup teams made the list. 2 Detroit teams, 2 Montreal teams from the 70s. And the 91-92 Penguins were number 2. It was a little curious because that team was actually, think about this, the second best team in NHL history. They were in third. They came in third place in their division that year. Third place.
And they won the Stanley Cup.
And they did win Stanley Cup, of course, but they were in third place in their division, yet they were the number 2 team of all time. So try and make sense of that.
Was Mario Lemieux on the team?
Yes, he was. And look, that team was loaded.
Was Jaromir Jagr on the team?
He was. They beat the Rangers.
Was Kevin Stevens on the team? Keep
going. Yes, he was. Keep going.
Was Tom Osgood on the team?
Tom Barrasso, you mean? I think you transposed Tom Barrasso and Chris Osgood. I like this. And
that is where my knowledge of hockey ends.
That's it. That's all you got? Pierre Maguire.
I'm trying to think. God, I'm trying to think of NHL '94. I mean, that's the Super Nintendo game.
One of the best video games of all time, of course.
Claude Lemieux?
He was on the Devils. That lost to the Rangers in the first round that year.
Who was their best defenseman? I'll probably recognize the name if you say it.
I think Paul Coffey was on that team. I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Yeah.
I think Larry Murphy. I want to say Larry Murphy was on that team. Ulf Samuelsson was on. I think both Samuelsson boys.
Oh yes, Ulf. Good old Ulf.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ulf and Shell. And that Pittsburgh team beat the Rangers in the Patrick Division final. I remember that series so vividly, and I remember there was a goal scored by Ron Francis. I know we can drag this out all night. I can go all night. Ron Francis, though, scored a goal from center ice to beat John Van Beesbrook. I want to say it was Game 4. And then I think it was Francis. Or was it somebody else? But Francis, I think, then scored the overtime goal to win. And then Pittsburgh would go on to win that series in 6 games. They would beat the Rangers. Jaromir Jagr had an amazing play in Game 5. I just remember watching that series, and I was excited.
You can mail me the VCR. Have a chance, and I'll
I actually do think, and I kid you not, I think that my dad taped a couple of those games, and I think we still have them in our collection downstairs. Those Ranger Penguin games.
See, when people listen, they think I'm joking when I talk about this VCR crap. It's unbelievable. I don't know if you actually have that on VCR or not, but I throw it out there because there's not a chance of that being true.
I kid you not. I think my dad did tape a couple of those games from 1992. And I think they're still in the they're definitely in the collection. If you tape them, they're there.
Yeah, the collection. Yeah, they gotta be in the collection.
Yes.
Was it like a treasure chest that you need a special key to open? Oh my god.
No, it's just like a big giant pile of tapes from Giants Super Bowls and Sonics Bulls finals from 1996 and
good to know. Well,
and Scotty
maybe
Bowman,
you could start renting out access to some of those to some of those tapes. I'm sure you'd make a lot of money.
If anybody out there
let's
wants,
move on.
Well, just one more tidbit, because this is really cool also. So Scotty Bowman, out of those 10 teams, Scotty Bowman coached 5 of those 10 teams. Think about that. 5 of the 10 of the best teams of all time. Scotty Bowman coached 5. He didn't coach the Islanders. He didn't coach the Edmonton teams. Every other team, he was head coach. Wanted to get that out there. Wow. All right. Yep. Pretty cool. The amazing Hall of Famer, Scotty Bowman. All right. So,
all right.
We will come back to hockey.
Cool here.
Yes, we will come back to hockey with an HMOZ. I promise you that. So, Mets and Yankees.
All right.
Here we go.
Look, let's cover Mets and Yankees for a few minutes. You come back to your HMOZ, and we're on our way. So, this series, what feels like usually throughout the course of baseball season, like 7 different series against the Boston Red Sox.
Yep, only 19
these
games.
Teams are within one. They are within one game of each other in first place. Boston taking it 5-4 tonight in the first of a series. Yankees putting their quote-unquote ace on the hill, Masahiro Tanaka, who, after tonight, stands with an ERA of 6.55 on the season, and in his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In his last 7 starts, he has surrendered in reverse chronological order. 5 earned runs, 7 earned runs, 1 earned run, 6 earned runs, 8 earned runs, 4 earned runs, 4 earned runs.
Oh my God! How it is
1 game in the last 7 that he surrendered fewer than 4 earned runs. And the Yankees are in first place.
How is that even possible? Just think to our preview. And we said, well, he has to be a given, a constant. And then you hope everything else falls into place for him to be mildly competitive, is what we said. It is just, unfathomable. It really is.
So here's an interesting point. A colleague at work pointed out. I can't take credit for everything, right?
Yeah, right. We can give credit to others. Every now and again, we'll do that.
The Yankees have not had a single starting pitcher miss a start this year. I don't believe. Every single pitcher has gone out and started. There's not from starters. Montgomery, I think he was the number 5 star from the outset, up to Tanaka. Not a single pitcher has missed a start. And my guess is not a single other team in Major League Baseball can say the same. And it's probably not even close.
I mean, considering that every team, uses, it seems like now for a full season, 8, 9, 10 starters. I mean, maybe more, considering injuries.
I don't know if the
Yankees
have to use 6 starters. They might. I don't know if they had did they have a doubleheader this year? I don't remember if they've had one yet. If they did, then maybe they used a 6 starter.
I think they did. I think they had at least one this year.
I mean, okay, fine.
It was Jeter Day, I think. The Jeter Day, number 2.
Right, it was. That was a doubleheader. But aside from that, not a single starter has missed a start from when the season started, which, given full months into the season, is pretty remarkable. When you talk about pitchers and injuries, here's another stat that I saw today.
All right.
Tommy John surgery and how many guys get it, and how pitchers are injured all the time, and how serious Tommy John surgery is. We'll get a load of this. 87% of Major League Baseball games played this season. Remember, there's 10 to 15 games a day. 87% of those games played featured at least one pitcher who has had Tommy John surgery in the past.
Oh my God. Is that true? That is insane.
For the Cleveland Indians, 100% of their games have featured a pitcher that had Tommy John surgery.
Oh, my God. That is insane. Wow. So that means every single – does that mean then that every pitcher in Cleveland's staff –
every single person – yes, I think every single starter.
Or is there a chance that they had like a spot starter pitch that didn't have Tommy John, in which the opposing pitcher or something that had the Tommy John?
Maybe.
That is unbelievable.
Maybe. But still, I mean, 87% of Major League games played this season have one pitch. So, look, I think the reality is today, Tommy John is it's expected in almost. I don't know if you want to say every single pitcher is expected to have it, but it's just so common. And look, you fans are clamoring for Matt Harvey to pitch better, and I guess I'm moving on to the Mets here. There's not much more to say about I need to say about the Yankees. Look, it was Tanaka.
Unless you want to get in the Yankee Red Sox rivalry, which every paper had to have, a thing on the Yankee Red Sox rivalry, and this is the rebirth of the rivalry because of all the young players, and they're going to be good, and they're both good now, and the young players coming up, and blah blah blah. Yeah, we
need some controversy. We need some controversy.
Yeah, and you know what? There is none right now. There's the historic rivalry, but that's it. There's no rivalry right now.
There'll be some controversy sooner or later. It'll happen. If they're the two best teams in the AL East, there will be.
Play in the playoffs, and now
and we'll break it all down. Then we'll break it all down. Then. All right.
Or play meaningful games at the end of the season. Let's see that.
So moving on to Matt Harvey because he had Tommy John, but I think what fans don't appreciate enough in the Matt Harvey situation is the thoracic outlet syndrome.
Yeah, it's understated.
Is a opposite to Tommy John insofar as a track record for recovery and level of previous performance. So really, Harvey's operating under somewhat, I don't want to say completely unprecedented territory, but fairly unprecedented territory with this thoracic outlet syndrome. Do the research on that and come back and say that you still think that he should be pitching as well as he did before he had this. See Harvey. I mean, you're just dying to see Harvey come through and overcome the obstacles. And look, he hasn't helped his cause with the drama and oversleeping and and that doesn't help. Not only so, that's just Harvey in a nutshell. I mean, it's just sucks, but he's going to struggle.
Yeah, I mean, you just hear that the recovery, for that type of surgery. It's just that the statistics are not good. They indicate that you're going to have a very, very tough road to get back to where you were. And Harvey was, at the top of the baseball world in terms of pitching. He was one of the best pitchers in baseball, started the All-Star game in 2013, and you look and had that amazing performance in Game 5 of the World Series, and look where he is now. I mean, everybody was talking about how it looked like he righted the ship because he had 2 decent starts in a row and then gets hit hard again in his last start, and you're just like, where is Matt Harvey? And are we ever going to see the real Matt Harvey, whether it's this year or ever again, or the old Matt Harvey? And I don't know.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. The Mets need him, otherwise the Mets can kiss their season goodbye.
And then you have Jacob deGrom tonight, 8 earned runs in Texas. His last start, 7 earned runs, which I was at the game for. We talked about that last show. I don't know.
What is up with him? God.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know if anything's really that wrong. I mean, the velocity is there. He's not like walking batters left and right. I think he's just a little off, and I'm relatively confident that he's gonna get back on track. I mean, he was pitching really well before this, and sometimes you have a couple of bad starts and you get by and people don't notice because you limit the damage. Well, last 2 starts, and so here we are. But I mean, at a time when the Nets need him the most, he's not delivering. So it's the Mets are going to be lucky to say to be buyers at the trade deadline at this point. I think it's going the other way.
Yeah, I mean that division is gone. Forget about the division, but even the wild card now, they are just falling so far back, and they
and look, they're going to get some healthy. Look, some guys are going to get healthy.
Yeah, Matt's coming back.
Cespedes is going to come back.
Yeah, he's coming
Mats
back.
is pitching later Mats is coming back this weekend, but it just might not be enough at this point. And you don't know what you're going to get out of Mats or Lugo. I don't know how many innings Lugo has ever pitched in a season.
Yeah, he can't. I mean, Mats is the guy that you're hoping can stay healthy, be the guy that everybody thought he would be, and live up to his talent level and his ability and just his overall abilities. I mean, if he can come back, stay healthy, pitch effectively, I mean, that could really boost their rotation. But their bullpen is still a disaster. Harvey's still a disaster. DeGrom, you assume, will right the ship. He's a good pitcher. I know that he's been a little uneven this year, but he can still pitch. He still has good stuff. You figure he'll battle through this and he'll kind of regain his form. But Mats right now is Mats and Harvey. If Mats can come back, stay healthy, if Harvey can figure out, just get back to some kind of semblance of being a formidable pitcher with DeGrom, the Gazelle has pitched okay. Maybe Lugo can give you something. Okay, now you have something to work with, but they are just digging themselves a deeper and deeper hole, like the Islanders. Think about the Islanders, what we talked about with them in December, and how deep of a hole they dug for themselves. And they tried their best to climb out, but they came up this much short, and maybe it'll be the same thing with the Mets this year. But I guess right now, if you're a Met fan, you will sign up for meaningful September baseball, as we used to always hear from the Wilpons. Meaningful, that's our goal, meaningful September baseball. Coming into the year, it was World Series or bust. Now it's, let's play meaningful September baseball. I think that's the best you can hope for right now. But like you said, maybe it's, hopefully we can be buyers at the trade deadline. Maybe we can actually think that we're still in it by July 31st. Maybe that's what Met fans should be hoping for right now. One more thing. So
next time we speak, yes, one more thing.
No, I was going to say one more thing. I was going to go back to Tanaka. I don't know if you had anything more to add about the Mets, but I wanted to get one more thing about Tanaka.
I do have something about Tanaka as well. We'll see if it's the same thing that you have.
I had to look it up. You probably did the same thing as me. But all right, Mets. We close that thread.
No, I thought you said you had one more thing about Tanaka.
I didn't know if we close the Mets thread. All right, so
Mets are closed.
Mets are closed. All right. Next, Masahiro Tanaka. I had to look this up because I thought of this as we were talking about his awful, rotten performances. 66 innings pitched for Tanaka. 12 games started, 66 innings pitched. He has given up 17 home runs this season. 17.
And I think I saw that he gave up 18 all of last year. Roughly.
No, where's it? Where's his stats here? Let's see. Tanaka.
He's Pineda-esque.
He is
20.
No, he gave up 22 last year. 22. 31 games started and 199 innings. He gave up 22. He has now pitched 66 innings and he's given up 17 home runs. He is on pace to give up like 40 plus home runs if he makes every start. Think about that. If you give up the long ball at that, he always gave up home runs. Even going back to his first couple seasons, he had the tendency to give up a home run every now and again. But usually it was with nobody on base. Now, I mean, he puts guys on, he gives up hits, he's walking. I mean, I guess not really walking guys, as his walk ratio is not bad, but he's giving up hits by the dozens, by the gross every game. And when you do that and then give up long balls, you're gonna have a 6.5 ERA. I have no idea what his problem is. I mean, I know we talked about it. I hate to rehash it again, but I don't know if it's mechanics, if it's an injury, if it's just he just can't. He's shaking in his confidence. He has no idea where the pitches are going. I don't know what it is, but it is unfathomable that he has pitched as badly as he has.
That was not what I wanted to talk about Tanaka. Right. That's really bad. What I wanted to mention is I read this was not a nationally televised game. It was local broadcast. Yeah, for the Yankees, it was the Channel 11, right?
Yep. Yes. Tonight.
So Boston had their own broadcast, and I read that I missed this part of the game, but apparently when the pitching coach comes out to talk to Tanaka, accompanies the pitching coach.
Oh, interpreter. Yeah.
And on the Red Sox broadcast, the color commentator Jerry Remy,
good guy,
said that he doesn't think that should be legal.
Really? I actually was not being sarcastic when I said that, because I've listened to Jerry Remy call when I lived in Rhode Island. I got to hear Red Sox broadcast, and I actually went out of my way to compliment Remy and how good and really unbiased and impartial of an announcer he is. But really, that's what he said.
He was. I mean, you could call it impartial. I don't know. He's just being. It's his opinion. Basically said, and this is me reading an article of what somebody said. The writer of the piece said, but apparently Remy said on the air that it's easy for pitchers and pitching coaches to figure out how to communicate with each other, and that it should not be legal to have an interpreter. Take with it what you want, but here's what makes it this much worse. Is earlier today.
I saw that story. I know where you're going. I saw the story, yeah.
The all-time Philly great. Yes, right? The number one great of the Philadelphia Phillies organization, third baseman.
Mike Schmidt, yep.
Said that Odubel Herrera, who is a young, promising outfielder on the Philadelphia Phillies now, not a team that's doing well, but he's a very talented player, because he can't speak English because of a language barrier. He cannot be a leader for the team. So it's just
he actually does speak English. Abdul Herrera. In the article that I saw, apparently he does speak English. So he was just assuming.
But this is what Mike Schmidt said on a radio show.
No, I know.
Mike Schmidt.
But what's even worse is the fact that he does speak English. Is that the article said no. Just because he has, he's a Latino, he has a Latino background. He's from Venezuela, I think. You cannot assume that the guy doesn't speak English. He does. So that made it even more worse. The more worse by.
And then there was a quote unquote apology issued by Mike Schmidt, where basically he said, "Well, if it was basically saying like, if you're offended, you shouldn't have been offended," kind of thing. It did not come out right.
Sorry, not
you gotta
sorry.
read it.
Sorry, not sorry.
So it's just it's cool. I don't know. It's coincidental that like this happened. Both these things happened today. But you have these older school Caucasian guys that look. We're Caucasian. We speak English. We don't speak second languages. I don't think. You might speak your second language in your farts and burps, but
whoops.
But as far as you know what I mean, like, are they just so old school that they can't embrace the fact that there's all these young players that come from the Caribbean and elsewhere and grew up not speaking English? How dare they not grow up speaking English and need help learning it? It's just,
yeah, and to say that he can't be a leader,
unfortunate.
It's ridiculous. It's an absurd statement, and I
don't think David Ortiz spoke English as a native language. He learned it, and he became a leader. You could do it. A lot of these guys do. Whether or not he learns it is besides the point. But come on.
Yeah, and Remy's comment may not be as offensive, but it's still, I don't understand why he has a problem with Tanaka having an interpreter and going out to the mound. All the interpreter's doing is interpreting. He's not giving the Yankees any kind of added advantage. He's just interpreting what Tanaka's saying to the pitching coach and what the pitching coach is saying to Tanaka. That's it. So I don't understand what his problem is, and Schmidt's a moron. Schmidt just stupid, idiotic, and I didn't see his apology. If it was a backhanded apology, shame on him. And then
totally backhanded.
Yeah, we don't care then what you have to say, Schmidt. Go away, go crawl back in your hole. I don't know what the hell he's doing with himself these days, but we don't want to hear from you. Then go away. It's just ridiculous. Ridiculous. Oh well.
Okay. HMOZ.
HMOZ, yes. So we'll end, before we get to the final segment, of course, we'll take a we'll segue from that segment to a lighter segment, and kind of an H segment. I saw this going back to the Hockeys, the Stanley Cup Finals, being in Nashville for games 3 and 4. So these 5 guys, I think a couple of them were from out of state, some of them were local, but 5 guys. Now, I am skeptical of the 5. I just can't buy that it was only 5, but you let me know what you think. So these 5 guys went to they found a bar or whatever in Nashville on Saturday before Game 3. They got there early, made sure they got their table because they knew it was going to be a zoo and whatever. So they sat down early in the day. And by the time that the evening culminated, of course, with a Nashville Predator victory. And so they had a chance to enjoy their experience and celebrate and all that. Their bar tab, though, by the time the day ended, their bar tab came to 5 guys, came to a total of, you want to take a guess? And this is food, beer, and then we'll get to the contents of their tab. I just wanted to see if you want to
one place all day?
One place. It was called Rippy's Ribs. Rippy's Ribs.
From when to when?
I'm actually looking at it right here. So 11:06 in the morning, and we can assume that this went into the wee hours of the morning, but at least
3 in the morning.
At least from 11:06 in the morning.
But I mean, you're assuming. Well,
I'm sorry. I do have a time. 11:06 a.m. to 9:50 p.m. That's when they got their check.
Well, you say 5 guys, but I mean, I'm sure they were buying shots for random people or drinks for random people.
Right. Well, that's what you would think, and that's what I was skeptical over. But yeah, so you want to take a guess as to
nevertheless? I don't know. $2,000.
Nah, it wasn't that bad. $1,127.25. 93 Coors Lights, which totaled $558. 93 Coors Lights. It ended up being like 100, and when you tally up the other beers, they got Bud Lights and Miller Lights. It came out to like 115 beers or something for 5 people. 115 beers for 5 people. And that also included shots of tequila and something else, and of course food and whatever. 93 Coors Lights. Where were the bitter hipster beers, guys? Come on. Well, I guess they would have been out by like 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock if they would have just been indulging on BHBs. So I guess they had to drink the water, the water that is also known as Coors Light. Wow.
Yikes.
Those guys, it sounds like had themselves a hell of a day while enjoying the festivities of Game 3 in Nashville.
Okay. All right. Well,
yeah.
Could have been worse.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I mean, you see 98 beer Coors or 93 Coors Lights and 100.
Yeah, but you think about like $250 a person, including
5.
$50 a person, including gratuity from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. is not that terrible, I guess.
What,
I'm shooting down your HMOC. 93 beers is ridiculous, though.
93 Coors Lights, 115 beers. 115.
That's a lot of beers.
Oh, man. Well, they know how to party in Nashville, don't they? Yes, indeed. Actually, I think one of them came from New York. Another one came from Wisconsin, and then the other ones I think were local. So, all right. Next. So, we'll go from the 93 pitchers of water, or AKA Coors Light, and that will take us to the final segment of the week. Everybody's favorite, yours and mine. And, of course, it is the Hipster Beer of the Week. And take it away, Mr. Hip.
Yeah, this one I admittedly don't know much about. I had it, and it was good. Keep things simple here. And it's not from the New York City metropolitan area. Orpheus Brewing out of Atlanta, Georgia. And I had a Saison of theirs, which Saisons are a kind of a unique brew. They're pretty bitter, and they're not hoppy. Sometimes they taste almost weedy, but most folks that I know do not go out of their way to drink Saisons. However, Orpheus Brewing has a beer called Atlanta, so A-T, then A-Lanta, which is a plum tart saison, which I didn't realize at the time when I was drinking it, but I knew it was a saison. I didn't know it was plum. But they incorporate enough tart into it, makes it, to me, it was a more enjoyable saison than the standard saison that you would get at a bar. Some people like saison and farmhouse ale are fairly synonymous, I think. It's like a bittery wheat tasting beer. So think Blue Moon, just a bit more bitter for a saison. I think
what's IBU counted as the International Bitterness Units. Yes.
IBUs. So there you have it. Orpheus Brewing. I can't see. Here's the thing. I can't just keep repeating the breweries in our area. I have to now start to expand a little bit because it's just can't say the same ones over and over again. We'll have some repeats from time to time as they're deserved.
No,
but
I think you've done a really good job. I mean,
hipster beer of the week. We got to keep mixing it up. So there you have it. Next week we'll have the NBA Finals probably will be over. We'll see. NHL Finals could also be over.
Well, yeah, I mean,
we'll see.
Well, actually, we'll see. Wednesday would be Game 7. Next Wednesday would be Game 7 for the NHL.
So we'll do a show before Game 7 if it gets to a Game 7.
All right. Actually, one more thing, just to expand on the hipster moment of Zenith. One more thing. So the guy, I said there was a guy from New York. He's actually from Brooklyn. I just found this. He's from Brooklyn, and guess what he said? He said we got ragged on a bit for choosing Coors Light. But when you show up to a bar at 11 a.m. and expect to be there for 12 hours, you need a beer that's perfect for the long, slow burn, and an IPA isn't going to do it.
Can't argue that point. That's fair.
No, but it's because of the guy. This is the guy that's from Brooklyn that said that. So you figure that this guy probably enjoys his other halves and his double dry hopped IPAs and all. So for him to be that guy to make that statement, I mean, I just got a kick out of that. So the guy from Hipsterville says IPAs all day is going to be a little too much. And he's
folks.
Right.
Well,
anyway.
Like us on iTunes, or I should say, rate us on iTunes. Like us on Facebook, all that good stuff. Thanks for listening. Until next time, yes.
All right. We got that over with, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
And the